for how to know if it's time to quit your job and what to do if it is you're experiencing a lack of opportunity for advancement within your position. Like you've kind of stagnated and outgrown, but there's no opportunity to get promoted or cross promoted into a different department. Superiors are kind of just like, you're at where you're at, and there's no foreseeable change in the future. Welcome back to Answer the Call, where we help Christians discern what they feel called to do and practically land a job that's aligned with it. Today, we are revisiting actually one of our most popular episodes that I recorded 6 years ago.
Wow.
Before I had this fabulous gal in my life. Audrey, how are you?
Oh, I am well. I'm happy to be here. I like this topic. I like having this conversation with people.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. I'm really excited to get into it, especially since I accidentally kicked my cat. I'm sorry, baby. The spicy angle on this topic of how to know if it's time to quit your job today is that I am revisiting the exact things that I shared in 2020 as how old was I? 32 minus 6 is 26. 26-year-old. No public math. Oops, I broke that rule.
Did you listen to the episode? Did you listen to your voice?
Dog, I would never.
Yeah, I was going to say that's so brave.
No, I would never. But I do have the written outline, thanks to Google Docs, saving this way back.
Record keeping.
Yes, in the Wayback Machine, I found my original notes, and I'm going to do a live reaction of sharing what I said in 2020. Wow, what a year. And providing my current thoughts, particularly since I think that it's not just me that's changed. Obviously, the world has changed a lot, and the job market has also changed. And I feel like the pros and cons that people weigh as they consider, should I stay or should I go and try to throw my hat into the ring for a better job, feels different. And there's different pros and cons and different challenges to weigh. And not to say that there was none in 2020, trauma. But
yeah, I do want to look up when in 2020 you posted that episode, unless you know.
I think it was June. So not quite 6 years ago. But think about it, like ChatGPT was not even released then. Wait, it wouldn't be until, is that 2 years later? I think it was fall 22.
I started releasing chat in spring of 23, so probably fall of 22.
Yeah. And so much has changed since then. So
I do want to say you actually posted the episode in February 4th, 2020, so before COVID.
No way.
Yeah. How to know if it's time to quit your job. Episode 35. Yeah, so this is pre-COVID as well.
Whoa. Okay, just kidding. Life was really easy back then. So the overview of what I'll share is, like I said, it was actually 5 reasons that I shared back in that original episode. 5 reasons to quit. And I'll share if I stand by them and the caveats I would add. I also am giving updated, entirely new reasons to quit your job if you are experiencing certain things in 2026. And also, Audrey is going to lead us in a prayer and some questions to ask yourself to decide what to do. If after listening to these reasons, you're like, I don't want to just have a gut reaction. Of course, I want like a thorough decision-making process to decide for me and my life, is it time or is it not? Or when would it be? Or what should I do? So a prayer and questions to ask yourself to decide what to do. And then if you are going to embark on job searching, there's 3 different options of ways that you could go about that if it is time to leave, which Audrey will also share. So I think it's time to get into it. The first of the 5 reasons I shared in 2020 for how to know if it's time to quit your job and what to do if it is you're experiencing a lack of opportunity for advancement within your position. Like you've kind of stagnated and outgrown, but there's no opportunity to get promoted or cross promoted into a different department. superiors are kind of just like, you're at where you're at, and there's no foreseeable change in the future. And what I said in 2020 is, I love how I actually went deep cut here. It is vital to have a healthy dose of challenge, quote, and outlook for advancement. Yeah, I agree. Viktor Frankl, the author of, I was like in my very existential era. Viktor Frankl, author of the famous book, Man's Search for Meaning, proved that humans actually die faster when they don't believe they are working towards something meaningful. So there are definitely repercussions on your mental health if you feel like you're just twiddling your thumbs in your job, or if you feel like you're on a rat race to nowhere without any hope of assuming more responsibilities and growth and opportunities for the future. Oh my gosh, she had the audacity to say that. Hey girl, you're actually dying if you can't get promoted. I mean, jokes aside, I do think that is kind of valid. What do you think, Audrey?
There's a book. I can't believe I'm going to forget the name of this book, but it's Atul Gawande. And I'm not even going to try to remember the title, but I read it in high school. Actually, I'm going to look up the title while I'm telling you about it, because he did a study in a nursing home about, they gave half the nursing home people a plan to take care of, and half of them did not have a plan to take care of. I don't know the ethics behind this, but the people who didn't have a plan to take care of died quicker. And he's a really famous author. Oh, Being Mortal is the name of the book. I knew it was something to do with mortal or mortality. And basically, he was demonstrating that taking care of things helps you live longer, which I think fits directly into your 2020 argument with Viktor Frankl.
Yeah, because if you've like, yeah, well, I want to say some people will not resonate with this at all, of course, because some people really, really, really are built to enjoy predictability and mastery. And so once you have a contained environment that you in your job that you have mastered every single thing, some people will say that is the point at which I go crazy. And some people will say that's the point where I start having fun and enjoyment and pride in my work. Excuse me, so sorry. For instance, I did meet just a delightful guy at the bag check counter for Southwest Airlines quite a while back. And he just had, as I was approaching the line, I saw that he was having the most delightful interactions with every single customer. And when I got up there, he told me, I've been doing this for 28 years and this is my dream job. You know, he's doing the same thing every day.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
There's not, I guess, a track that he has or either chose to take to get a advanced job beyond that. He is living his calling, and he is delighting people through that job. And so that's kind of my current thoughts is, dang girl, you took a really harsh cut on, deep cut on this opinion. Some people will very much resonate with it. And if that's you, then take it seriously, because that indicates like a way that you are made, and that's not a mistake. And I don't think it's just something to brush past. But if this is not you and you're like really not desperate for opportunities for advancement and you like mastery, well, you're probably not even listening to this podcast, honestly. But that's okay too. To summarize my current thoughts on this point, you should consider leaving if you have learned everything that you're going to learn and it's best for your career trajectory and your values to get experience elsewhere. It's totally normal to cap out and look elsewhere. Like, that's really, really normal. I think that I'm always using my muse, my husband Kevin, as an example, but 2 jobs ago, he actually experienced this, where he had an incredible relationship with his superiors, his team, his subordinates. He genuinely mastered the job after 3 years. And that I mean, he was in the job he was in before for 8 years, so it's not like he traditionally doesn't stay in things a long time. But his boss actually acknowledged, like, I could see that you're ready for more challenge. We actually like don't have any openings for that here. And Kevin and his boss, having a wonderful relationship, communicated completely openly with no drama whatsoever as they slowly and thoughtfully helped him or into a different job at a different company, while they slowly and thoughtfully prepared his subordinate to have a celebratory moment of taking his place. And that was the healthiest, cutest thing I've ever seen. I loved witnessing that. That was awesome. So that could happen for some people. But so that's an opportunity or a potential reason to leave if you're experiencing a lack of advancement. But I would say maybe it's worth sticking through in your current job if an extra couple of months or even 1 to 2 years in this job could give you tangible experience that actually matters for the ultimate job you're aspiring to. Of course, you would need to have vision and a plan on what you are actually aspiring to so you can measure up your current job to that plan. I wouldn't just generally say that more experience anywhere is going to help you get the specific thing that's best for your future. I think that's a fallacy that people fall into. Like, that's something that I really felt of. More years in tech consulting is not going to help me become a better career coach. I put that in my TED talk because as I talked about my 5-year career experiment and how it panned out. Even though society would say, oh, maybe having more gray hairs and being older is going to give you more credibility as a career coach. And I said, okay, but like, will it actually give me more skill? Like really, really practical, direct skills that are going to help me be better in session with clients, not just vaguely like, oh yeah, I guess it could help. And I decided it was more beneficial for me to have more experience as an actual career coach to become a good career coach than doing something I was hating and just getting older.
Yeah, a question to ask yourself there is, like you were talking about with the specifics, not the vague language, is if you're feeling drawn to, oh, I need to spend another 2 to 5 to whatever number of years in this role, what will that give me that I don't have now?
Mm-hmm.
More often than not, when I ask that question to clients, the answer comes back either with something super vague or they say, nothing. There's nothing more
or
that would give you.
psychosis.
Yeah. Really. Yeah. So that's a tangible question to ask yourself.
That's an excellent ad. By the way, sorry for saying depression and psychosis. I'm not pretending that most jobs are really all that terrible, but some people are really going through it out there. And some of those people might be listening to this episode. So I think it's good to move on to the second reason that I listed as a potential reason to quit your job, which was a lack of interest in the subject of your work. I really could have started with this actually, because I think it's even more common than a lack of advancement. What I said back in that 2020 episode was, this is defined by you don't enjoy or care about the skills and expertise you're building. You're becoming pigeonholed in a career you don't want a future in. And this is kind of like something I would type back then that I probably wouldn't type now. I said, if in 10 to 20 years you were invited to speak on a stage about the topic you are currently setting yourself up to gain experience in, would you be excited to share what you know? Would you want to encourage your younger friends, family, or other people you care about to follow in your footsteps? Or would you want more for them? I think that's kind of cute. Why I don't resonate with that now is like, you don't have to want your children to want your job. Like, you could like your job and be like, well, they could do whatever they want to do. So I thought the last statement was kind of irrelevant. unless you are actively in a terrible position and you really do feel like you need to go out and warn people against getting law degrees. Like, I get that. I totally
Yeah.
get that. I'm not even a lawyer, and I do that on other people's behalf. So yeah, there's some merit to it, but you could kind of tell in my current thoughts they're slightly different now. But the first 2 points I completely stand by. Like, if you are in a subject matter that you're like, I could not give two rips about this, I would say there is an opportunity to leave if you have been in this job for at least 6 to 12 months, preferably more, and you know through experience, given time and space, that you do not want a career in this field. That's valid, especially if you're early career. That happens to people all the time. But I would say stick through it if there's a risk that this is just a maturity issue. I promise that job satisfaction goes up when you have given yourself enough time to feel like you're really good at this job. Even if you didn't initially think you could ever care about selling insurance, there is a reality in which just as you get used to something and good at it and get in your groove, you'll realize, oh, I don't necessarily have to be passionate about insurance to enjoy all the reasons I'm in this job and the connections I get to have with people and just having a purpose every day and providing for my family. I think that being obsessed with like the subject matter of your work is only important for some personality types. A lot of us, I would say most of us, are actually just going to be satisfied by choosing tasks that and like function types that agree with the natural abilities that God gave us. And you could apply those regardless of industry, barring certain industries being especially like harsh or terrible and others being more favorable. Like, I totally get that. But in terms of like the subject matter, I feel like this is especially an early career fallacy that college students fall into of like, what am I passionate about? Mental health. I'm going to major in psychology, said so many poor people. Honestly, I'm so sorry. That was really harsh. I'm in such a different place now from when I first recorded this. I feel like I was like, first off, being 32 and having a kid on the way is very different than being a 26-year-old that was like very, very hyped up on Mel Robbins talks. So,
and the world is different. The market is different right now.
Completely. Yeah.
That was a time of there was a lot more opportunity to do something a little bit maybe less conventional, and yes, it was a more flourishing market to make these pivots. So talking in 2026, I really agree with what you're saying, Kelsey, of maybe you don't have to be so passionate about the subject matter. It's actually more of what you're doing day in and day out that is more important.
Thank you. You know, y'all are really picking up on why Audrey is such a necessary addition to the Called Career team. She softens the edges over here and is much more fit for polite society, as one mentor would say. I would. Is there anything else we should say on like a lack of interest in the subject of your work as a reason to leave?
I just want to share a story about a recent client this week. I had a conversation with somebody, and on the call, he says, you know, I think my breakthrough, and we're going to probably talk about this later on as well. My breakthrough is actually that clarity isn't what I'm passionate about. It's not doing what I'm passionate about. My clarity is actually, I just need a job that helps me provide for my family. And that's good. That's great. I just need to find that job. And that was such a valuable conversation. I don't have that same exact conversation with everybody, but I'm having it a lot more in 2026 than I was in 2023.
Yeah, that's just real. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a really helpful current client example. And like, not everybody has to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
You, just like you were alluding to, you have equally valid conversations with clients in the same week that are like, no, I'm still searching. Like, it really matters to me to be on fire for what I'm doing. And God built that person a different way, and that's okay. And also, there's just like different seasons and different expectations from our jobs and different times in history and culture. I really think that the expectations of what a job is supposed to do for you is so different, like you were saying, 10 years ago to now. Um, and and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
God is in it all. It's not a failure to be like, no, I really just want my job to provide and not cause too many frustrations to my personal values around family and faith and the things I have going on in my personal life.
Mm-hmm. And you could say that at 30 and then say something different at 45. This is a whole different
100%.
conversation, but you're calling changes and it flows along with the changes in your life. You're calling at 25 looks different than 35, or I guess the outward representation of your calling in career looks different from
Yes.
time to time in your life.
And that goes for me, like 25-year-old me versus current me. I'm actually really glad that I went all out on what 20-year-olds are good for, which is like having a big, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed view of the world and going for what I really wanted, taking huge risks, putting myself out there, doing something that didn't make sense to a lot of people, and at times doesn't even make sense to me now. Like, I might have been one of those people that was like, oh, I don't know, like, be careful, you're only 24 at the time that I quit my tech consulting job. But I'm so glad, like, God was with that girl. God was with that girl, and he was speaking to her, and he didn't have to speak to everybody else. Not everybody else had to understand my life and my decisions. And I'm so glad that I did those things. And I would not do it, like, I would probably not. I'm not the same person now, but I'm glad that I was the person I was then. I'm getting a little existential again. We could go on to number 3.
Before we do, can we clarify that this is your cat in the background?
Oh my gosh, I was hoping that you couldn't hear. Oh, I was really hoping that the noise canceling was going to help.
Maybe
I'm
on the
sorry.
recording. On the recording it might, but just in case it comes through, I want to clarify it's a
Oh,
cat.
blast. No, it's probably going to come through. You're so right. Oh, that's so annoying. I apologize to everyone. I have a very vocal orange cat. And if you know anything about orange cats, they live up to the stereotype. He crazy. He wants me to give him what we call exploring time, which is exploring in the front yard. Yep, he's knocking on the door right now. He wants me to open the front door because we don't really have a backyard. But um, sorry, no exploring time right now, Constantine. Shut up. Also, his name is Constantine. I was in a different phase of life then. Can you tell? I just go really hard on phases of life. I have my eras.
Gift. It's a gift.
It's
All
a
right.
gift.
What's number 3?
Emotional fatigue and constant fantasizing. What I said in 2020 was, if the first thing on your mind when the alarm goes off is consistently a thought of dread, stress, or severe discontentment, more likely than not, you are in a situation in which you have an abundance of options, especially if you're in a first world country. You do not have to be stuck in this feeling of being a victim to your career. It's honestly going to come down to you deciding that you're sick of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it's time to do something about it. It's not about how many resources you have, it's how resourceful you decide to be. I took a very motivational angle on that. Again,
Beautiful.
love. My current thoughts are, I would leave, and this is kind of in agreement, but just adding a little bit more specifics to what I said before. I would leave if you've given this job your best for months or years, yet still you are fantasizing about quitting in your daily thoughts. For especially, oh my gosh, has it been more than 3 to 6 months that you're like, oh, this job is not it. And there are not other redeemable reasons to stay beyond just having a job. There can be redeemable reasons to stay. I'll share that in the stick through it if reasons. But in terms of the leave if reasons, one last thing I would say is if Sunday scaries or Monday woes have been happening every week for months and they don't look like they're ever going to let up, you're allowed to start looking. That's okay. That's okay. I would get clear on your reasons of and criteria for what has to be different about the next job. What has to be different in you? What has to be different about that next position in order for it to be better next time? Stick through it if your burnout is project related. That project or deadline has an end date that is within reason. Like in consulting, excuse me, sometimes our projects would be 2 years. I get it if you're like, it technically has an end date, but I don't want to be staffed on this client for 2 more years. Like, that is just not going to work. But is it maybe in a few months that you're finishing your big audit, your big product release, your system update that has been causing unusually frustrating circumstances in your job? Then perhaps you might feel there is a reason to see how work comes back to normal after that project ends. And I would actually, the second thing as a reason to stick through it, it echoes what I shared in the last section. I think, again, you have to also really evaluate if this is a maturity issue. And this is where community, kind-hearted community that has your best interest at heart, including telling you the truth in love, can help you with this. If you are an early professional or a perennial job hopper that just hasn't tried sticking through things before, there might be some benefit to the other side of the rainbow, like it just sticking through it. One example is one of my best friends, Macy. She and I were both really unhappy in our consulting jobs. We worked at the same company, very different departments in different states. But after a year and a half, we were having this conversation, and I was kind of on my way to deciding to leave. And it sounded like she was too, but she ended up sticking with it for like 5 or 6 more years.
Whoa.
And being so glad that she did. Wow. It really did get better for her. And it did have compatibility with her personality and the maturity that was unlocked in her. And she had good reasons to call that season as it's coming to an end at the 7-year-ish mark. But it actually was really good that she didn't make that decision at the 1.5-year mark, even though she initially thought this is not going to get better. So 2 girls, 2 different outcomes. One is glad that she pushed through. The other is glad that she didn't. I think that the prayer and reflection questions that Audrey will share at the end can help you decide which one you are.
Yeah, and I think with the early career as well, this kind of brings in multiple things that we've talked about here, but if something's been really bad for 6 months, that's really hard in your early career because you've been there for a year and it's been bad for 6 months. That's 50% of your career.
Your professional life.
Yes. It feels so dramatic because statistically that is really dramatic. But when you think about it in terms of your whole career, it's like, okay, this 6 months, is this really a big deal that it's been 6 months when I'm thinking about a 30-year career or even just a 10 or 5-year career? So bringing that perspective in as well, I think is important. And then I also wanted to mention here the discontentment. I'm going to have an unpopular opinion here, Kelsey. Maybe it's popular on this call, but I really would encourage when facing discontentment in any place in your life, especially career, do a social media fast, a significant one, 3 to 6 months, because I mean, I believe it personally. It's also in probably every study ever on social media that there's a direct link between being content and being discontent and being on social media, because you are just constantly exposed to people who have it quote unquote better with the highlight reel. And I personally speaking have noticed the more time that I've been off social media, the more content I am in my life when maybe things aren't different, right?
Yeah,
And it really is a matter of being on social media and not being on social media. Of course, that is
completely.
kind of productive. There's a lot more in that conversation, but we can't go into it on just a 40-minute
No,
podcast
it's
here.
mostly true though.
So,
Yeah, I feel like honestly a huge transition from my 20s to my 30s and staying more in my lane and being less obsessed with what other people are doing and more content in my life was a year break from social media.
yeah, you don't have to
Because
get
I was
off of it forever.
spiraling out. Like my 20s was kind of led by seeing what she's doing or he's doing and trying to copy it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially like, oh my gosh, I think that there is probably a lot of propaganda I was following for with all the travel influencers and
Mm-hmm.
YouTubers I was following while I was in my corporate job. And I think that I could have been a vlogger spinning my traveling, consulting, fancy job in a way that would make other people jealous of me. And so I was like, wow, it could have been played both ways, but kind of nobody wins at this game.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, maybe we should do a whole podcast episode on that because I have so much to say. Um, but I don't want to totally derail this conversation. So tell us about number 4, Kelsey.
Okay, a fourth reason to potentially consider quitting your job is it's really significantly impacting your health or quality of life. What I said back then is if you feel like you constantly have to lean on friends and family members to listen to you while you vent, catered plans around what works for you because you're always busy or at a very low emotional capacity. And you will also only say yes to things that are perfect for what you want because you don't have the capacity to stretch yourself to be emotionally generous with others. That might be kind of a red flag of your job is taking up everything in your life and you're not able to be present or generous with yourself and your resources with friends and family and community. No paycheck is worth sacrificing your health. Job stress can lead to depression, insomnia, headaches, frequent illnesses, and worse. So sorry. Speaking of illness, this is actually in the notes. I actually went to the ER twice when no, I think it was like ended up being 3 times during my extreme prolonged season of stress. I had really, really wild things happen that looked like scary stuff, but ended up being stress related illnesses. Like I had a like ping pong sized lump, ping pong ball sized lump grow in my arm that I was like, okay, writing my will and my farewells. And it wasn't concerning at all. I had to get an exploratory surgery to remove it, and it was like a cyst. And I think that was like a lot of imbalance in my body was creating that from stress. I haven't had something weird like that again for the most part since I came into more health and balance in my life and less stress. Now I want to say, are there busy seasons at work? Of course. And this was actually 26-year-old, very mature me saying this. Are there busy seasons at work? Of course. Is it worth pushing yourself to go after an incredible opportunity every once in a while at the expense of your short-term well-being. Yes, stretching yourself, having a few sleepless and busy seasons when you are sacrificing things to build your career is such a powerful character building thing, especially if you are in the hustle mode of being in your 20s and early 30s. But is what you're working towards in your current job worth that sacrifice? Are you being rewarded with hope and excitement and as you stretch yourself towards a meaningful goal, or are you just sacrificing your mental and physical health for reasons that aren't ultimately compelling or aren't truly worth it? I would say I do still stand by this. I think my closing statement was be honest with yourself. You'll know if the health sacrifices you're making are going out of bounds in terms of stretching on for too long or not helping you accomplish something that's really worth the sacrifice. Current thoughts. No notes. I completely agree with this. Good job, old Kelsey. I love that. I really, really agree. And also, I don't think that there will be quite as much as an impact on your health if you are going through I don't remember like the distinctions in the type of stress. I've heard it called eustress versus some other kind of stress. I don't know. There's good stress and bad stress, basically. And I think that you could be going through equal sleepless nights, equal like intensity, equal pushing yourself out of your comfort zone in one scenario where you're like, I hate this. I'm being trapped. I'm the victim of this situation. What I'm doing is dumb. I don't like it. Versus I'm doing this for a reason. Like I would imagine it's like that in early parenthood. I'm doing this for a reason. I chose this. I want this. Obviously, you could make that career related as well. Your body will likely not interpret that as getting sick all the time. You might get sick after you finish the busy season, but I don't know, just having more time going through seasons of stress myself and then watching other people as well, like I don't think it'll feel so bad if you're actually going through something that's worth it. But if your health is being significantly impacted and you're like, this isn't worth it, then hit us up. We'll help you get a new job. Any other thoughts, Audrey?
Nope, you nailed it. 26-year-old, you nailed it.
Yay. Last reason I listed back then was if you have a really bad boss. You will, and there's kind of two ways that I described this back then. Let's categorize a bad boss in terms of you know more than or more competent than your boss. And then also your bad boss isn't going anywhere. So what I meant by the you know more or are more competent than your boss, I said, of course, it's frustrating to work for someone that you believe to be less skilled or knowledgeable than you are. But really, if you can't trust your team or entire company's leadership to make good decisions and steer the ship in the right direction, you'll probably have to put up with more anxiety, uncertainty, and frustration than is necessary. And if your bosses really don't know what they're doing, you could find yourself out of a job if your boss changes plans on projects you're assigned to, or worse, the company goes under. This happens to people all the time, especially in the startup boom and bust that's happened in the last couple of years. I think more people have experienced a real impact on their jobs from having leadership that, you know, maybe they were really doing their best and it's just like a market thing, but others can point to actual bad decisions that the leadership made. And you're like, oh, wow, my job should really not be in the hands of a person like that again. Good lesson learned. The second thing I said about you, if you have a bad boss who isn't going anywhere, I would say that this is a legit reason to quit because bosses come and go generally, which is why conventional wisdom says it's best to just wait a bad boss out. I guess. I don't know if that's still conventional wisdom, but That's not always the right move. If you have a bad boss who's well liked by upper management, it may be time to leave. In addition to making you miserable every day, a two-faced manager who's in good standing with the higher ups can wreak havoc on your career by taking credit for your work, bad-mouthing you to others, blaming you for things that go wrong, etc. I've seen this happen to friends so many times. So many times. Huh. That's interesting. uh, Trust your instincts and be proactive in seeking employment under someone you could trust. Current thoughts? Yeah, no notes. I still agree with this unless you do have or can create, like have high agency in yourself. If you have great rapport or can build great rapport with other members of leadership or particularly your boss's boss, and can trust them to receive your professionally given yet honest feedback about what's going on in your team, they might actually be able to cause some kind of turnaround, whether through heavy coaching and instruction over your boss or perhaps replacing them if it's really bad enough. I've seen that happen for the betterment of certain teams. So you might still be able to influence the situation and create a reason to stay. But if not, again, hit us up. We'll help you out. We'll help you get a new job. What would you say, Audrey, as kind of the closeout to these, that and then these 5 reasons that I shared that are reasons to quit your job?
I would say 26-year-old you was on to something. And maybe I would consider a lot of this conventional wisdom because it's holding up 6 years later.
Well, I guess so. Thank you. I'm grateful. Well, before we turn over to the prayer and questions to ask yourself to decide what to do, I'll just briefly share the additional reasons I would now add as a potential, put it on your reasons to quit list if you resonate with any of these all this time later. One thing that was sorely lacking from the last list, I think because my life was just like a lot more flexible, I obviously wasn't in like family making mode and all that. I left money out. Like if you legit need to make more money, that is of course a reason to be looking for career advancement or growth elsewhere. And that's so natural. That is so normal. I think I was getting pretty creative with the other ones. Like I think particularly in a post inflation uptick world, a lot of us have been feeling this. Life costs money, and the job that worked for you then might not be working for you now. And if you see a path to serve the world in a way that you were born to be good at for more compensation elsewhere, with a balanced pros and cons list that leans towards the pros, then why not go for it? Providing for your family and yourself and your community and being generous and giving to others is a real part of our callings in the life that we are, that God designed as good. I think that not taking opportunities to earn more money, that if they're like really available to you, could be silly, but of course there could be a lot of reasons to accept or stay in a lower paying job for a time completely. That would come down to personal conversation and knowledge of your entire situation. But I do think it's normal to quit a job and find a new one because you simply have more bills than you did before. And I would secondly say a reason to quit is if your family needs a happier, healthy, more available you, and your toxic job is taking you from them. that might actually be a reason to accept less pay for a time to get your life back. Excuse me. Also, if your loved ones, friends included, all look at each other around the happy hour table and are like, oh my gosh, he's still in that job. And they are all rooting for you and kind of lovingly joking with you of like, there's better out there for you. There's better out there for you, girl. Or you could do this, like my guy. Like that might be something that should go past a joke and into reality to like really listen to them. And final three reasons that I would like to add, what could just be, and I kind of alluded to this on the money point, but this could just be agnostic of money, could be more lifestyle related. It's just that what worked for you then isn't working now. Seasons change, and that is okay. You could be really, really grateful for the position you have or have had while still having valid reasons to find a new one. You don't have to wait until things are really terrible to quit. I think that is normal and fine to just proactively be seeking a next move without waiting for your life to fall apart. Fourth, very short point, if God has explicitly shown you it's time to leave through a variety of means, that's between you and him. I'll leave it there. The fifth and final reason I would like to add, now that I'm 6 years older and wiser, is the trusted advisors in your life have checked your blind spots and agree with your decisions to leave, your decision to leave. I think that this is kind of different than just the casual friends conversation or even family. I think you'll know the people in your life that you're like, oh no, these are the heavy hitters that I have a serious talk with every couple months or years. And I say, can I spill my guts and share the whole situation? And can you tell me what you think I should do? Those are very, very special conversations in life. I think not because they're easy, but just to see, like to open yourself up to someone that is older and wiser. And you could have a variety of those conversations just to diversify a bit. Because especially when you're getting career advice, you kind of need to check the bias of the person that you're talking to. One thing that Audrey and I feel is a benefit of our practice is that we work with people who are coming from such different places and going to such different places that we practice a non-attachment to what you choose. And so we're much less biased than your friends or family or mentors are likely to be, especially since most people, in terms of mentors, mentorship is really just training you to become what they are. So sometimes you have to be aware of that. Like, do you want their life? How different is it from yours? Sometimes if they've had a very different background, that could be valuable, but you need to check it to see, is this the ultimate opinion I should be following? But if you have had those trusted advisor conversations and they give you the blessing and go, don't drag your feet, is what I would say. Audrey, thanks for listening to me in my monologue. Now we get to go on to a prayer and questions to ask yourself to decide what to do.
Yeah, this is something that I hope people can come back to as a guide, right? With this prayer and these questions in different seasons of your life. When you might be living a different job years down the road, whatever it is, save this for future use. And prayer is so important. I feel like such a nerd saying that. We all know prayer is important, but the reason that it's important is because so often in our prayer life, when it comes to career, we get caught up. I mean, I think we get caught up in this in all different categories of our life, but talking about career here, we are expressing the dissatisfaction. We're expressing, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And we're not pausing to actually hear for direction from God. And this prayer that we have laid out for you is designed to give you that time to pause and to get you into the right headspace rather than just the frantic journaling or frantic talking while you're washing dishes, whatever it is. Um,
Yeah, I also love that it includes a confession of maybe why you've been scared to ask God
oh my
for his
gosh.
opinion.
I was doing that this morning, Kelsey. I was like, God, I'm afraid that you're going to tell me to do this.
Yeah, that's probably one of the more significant components of what's keeping many of us from an
Mhm.
authentic prayer life
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
confessing to God what we're believing about him.
Yeah. So that's where we begin. Confess everything that you're feeling or thinking about this job situation. Confess all of that to God. Write it down, say it, whatever works for you. Confess what you're already feeling and thinking. And then after that, confess what you want. Like, what are the desires of your heart? I don't know if it's just the American church. I'll speak from that perspective because that's where we are. Desires are bad, right? We want to push down desires. So we've been told that a lot. I think that's common in a lot of different
Depending on
cultures.
what congregation you grew up in. There
Yeah,
are some sects of Christianity that, of course, are very desire focused.
true, true. So confess what you want. Have the courage to tell God, like, this is really what I want, and trust that He will hold that. And then confess what you're afraid of. That's kind of where we started with this conversation. Are you afraid of His answer that He's going to give you? Are you afraid of pain that you're going to feel? Are you afraid of discomfort? What are you afraid of? After that, confess the limiting beliefs that you have or the lack of faith or hope. And this goes into the next one pretty cleanly as well. Confess what this means you believe about God. So what limiting beliefs that you have that really draws out misunderstandings that we have about God's character. Same with that next question or next point. Confess what you believe. What all this means you're believing about God. Does it mean that you're believing God's going to punish you? God's going to like bait and switch you? Do you believe that God doesn't have your best interests in mind? Do you believe that God wants you to experience pain? All of these things are things that have drawn out in my own prayer when I confess what this whole list of things means that I'm believing about God. And then once you have this confession, all these different angles of confession out of the way, ask God, what do you want me to know about this? And then listen. Listen for what He has to say. And press into it even more of, God, what do you want me to know about this? I always love to lean on James 1:5 here. When you ask for wisdom, He promises to provide. And then ask follow-up questions too about what you're perceiving. Ask, God, is this from you? Is this my own bias? Is this my own subconscious coming up, or is this from you? Or are you speaking through these things? Have that back and forth conversation. I'm gonna do a quick rundown of that again, just saying each point. So number 1, confess everything you're feeling and thinking about this job to God. 2, confess what you want. 3, confess what you're afraid of. 4, confess your limiting beliefs or lack of faith or hope. 5, confess what this means you believe about God. 6, ask Him, God, what do you want me to know about this? And then 7, ask your follow-up questions. Have a conversation. Ask God to confirm.
Yeah, why not? Read the story of Gideon. I think that's in Judges 6. That brother asked for signs and he got them, and he was still like, but can you confirm it one more time?
Yeah.
And I don't think that we got a sense of if God was like judging him or hating him for it or not. I think that that was just an example in the Bible of God allowing us to see that He sees our humanity and has accounted for it in
Mm-hmm.
His graciousness.
Mm-hmm. And all of this is a really great practice in releasing the self-reliance and relying on
Yeah.
God in this prayer.
Yeah.
So, questions to ask yourself. I am not going to explain every question. I'm just going to list the questions
Yeah,
so
you could
that
just
you
like
get
read them
your
out,
favorites.
and like the listener can kind of just be open and maybe even close their eyes and just feel which one really hits them.
Mm-hmm. How long have I been dissatisfied in this position? Number 2, how many of the 5 criteria apply to me? Those 5 criteria are, again, lack of advancement or lack of opportunity for advancement, lack of interest in the subject of your work, emotional fatigue and constant fantasizing, impacting your health or quality of life, and having a really bad boss. Number 3, what future is this job setting me up for? Do I want that future? Number 4, what is the cost of staying in this job for another 6 to 12 months? 5, what do I have to gain from staying in this job for another 6 to 12 months? And number 6, what would need to change in order to get me to stay? I guess I'll add on to that. Is that change possible?
Yeah. Do you want to go on to 7 through 13?
No, there was more.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah, I went crazy yesterday when I was writing this out.
Oh, wow. Okay, 7, what can I do to make those changes happen? That's exactly the question that I just added.
If possible.
Another way to phrase that, what options have I not yet explored to make this job better? What is the first thing I can do to start taking action on that this week? Number 9, how long am I willing to wait to see if these actions actually turn into sufficient improvement? Number 10, how long do I think it will take me to find a new and better job? Conservatively.
Which averages, I think, isn't it still like 5 or 6 months in the US market?
Yeah, 5 to 6 months. Number 11, given that estimated timeline, when should I begin searching and applying? Number 12, what do I have to lose from devoting that amount of time to a job search? And then the last one, the actual last one, what do I have to gain from devoting that amount of time to a job search? So then if and when you decide it's time to do your job search and start making this transition, you have 3 options for job searching when it's time to leave. Most people continue at their current position while looking for another job. You can do that. That's reasonable. It definitely takes sacrifice in your personal life to be able to make that happen. We recommend dedicating 45 minutes a day to that. And it's hard. It can be hard, and it can be hard for a while, but it's worth it. It's always worth it when you do get that new job. So that's the first option.
And you'd be surprised what you could do.
Yes. Yeah.
When you're between a rock and a hard place.
Right. And there's always a warm-up period when it's like really hard for the first 2 weeks, and then you start to get into a flow and it becomes easier and better and you have a better routine. So that's number 1, staying in your job. Number 2 is if you have the money, if you have the savings, the family support, or the situation to be able to quit cold turkey while giving a reasonable notice. You can do that. And we have people that do that. The people who do it are usually not the primary income source for their household, or they don't have children. Those are very real things to take into consideration with this. We want you to be wise in this decision. And it's not right for most people, but it can be right for some people. And the people that it is right for often have a hard time accepting that as a gift and actually going through with it. So I really encourage you, if you are someone who falls into this category, spend some time really digging into if there's shame or guilt, or why can't you accept this beautiful gift from God?
Oh my gosh, you said that so perfectly. Yeah, because sometimes like people really do have the opportunity, but they will not do it. They will not accept that gracious gift because of shame and like a lack of worthiness around just taking the healing season.
Mm-hmm. And the healing season brings so much clarity. I've seen it in people. You've seen it in people how honestly, I think those people find clarity a lot quicker sometimes because they do have that space to just breathe, and they have a new kind of freshness in what they're seeing. The third and final option here is to quit and get a temporary palate cleanser job. And this includes restaurant jobs, retail store, anything in that mix.
Yeah, go work for your aunt. Like, who cares?
Yeah. Just we recommend this a lot to people because even though it will most likely be a significant decrease in income, it is a lot better, just numbers wise, to be making maybe around $2,000 a month than nothing in a month. And also that structure, we've seen it in people when they have all day open for job searching. It actually can be very, very difficult. And there's a lot of difficult feelings to manage in that time. So having something that gives you no structure to your day. Oh, yeah. No structure is, if we all think about it a little bit more, we can agree that actually that's not great for most people.
For most people. A lack of structure for me, Dog, I was born for a lack of structure.
Yeah, most people really do well with, okay, maybe you have a shift from 12 to 5 that day. That means that you have the morning to get job search stuff done. It really helps provide that uh, structure that can lead to more motivation, all those things. So we do recommend a palate cleanser job there and something fun. Have you always wanted to work at a coffee shop, but it's never made sense in your life?
Just do it.
Do it. Do it.
And have no shame about it. If people, come in, just be like, yeah, dog, this is my palate cleanser job. I'm just
Yeah.
doing something I always wanted to do while I just left my firm and I'm going towards another one soon, but I wanted to take the chance to work here.
Mm-hmm.
You tell people what to think with your energy and confidence as you say that. I am speaking from the perspective of a person that after my consulting job, I went to my normal happy hour with all my friends that were working at Goldman Sachs and I said, I'm cleaning houses now. That's what I was actually doing as I was like getting my coaching certification and working on the very baby stages of building my coaching business. And I just decided to think that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay if you think that's really dumb. I think I was like, bite me, whatever. Cause actually I didn't do that unthoughtfully. I felt like I figured out the secret to the universe doing like 10 hours a week of some freelancing on Upwork and cleaning some Airbnbs. And I was paying my very low monthly rent and low monthly bills at the time on all of that. And then all the rest of my time, I had to build my actual dream. But that was one of the sweetest times of my life. I would do that again in a heartbeat. I loved
Mm-hmm.
it. Like you couldn't crap on me. I was so about it.
Yeah, I
Maybe I
had.
overstate that. I'm sure that my ego could be bruised extremely easily at the time, but um, yeah, that's how I feel about it now. I would go back and say do it all over again. I also had a client that um, he maybe some a reason that stops people from getting an in between job, even if it's just really humble and kind of like hourly work, um, is they feel like it will take away from them in their job search. It'll take away from their job search. It will, like, the 8 hours shift would stop them from being able to go to an interview. I'm like, do a part time, 20 to 30 hours a week. And most likely you'll still be able to. Companies have to work around people in full time jobs getting an interview scheduled with the recruiter all the time. It's not actually going to, I think, you don't need whatever it is, like 168 hours a week that you have open. Are those your waking hours? I can't remember.
I don't know.
To apply to jobs. You don't need it.
Mm-mm.
You could get an in between job. And the client that finally took that advice after a couple months of being unemployed, he went and he worked at Home Depot. And he said, I am so shocked by the confidence boost that this has given me that I'm going to work every day. Like I again, given the dramatic Viktor Frankl quote at the beginning, we need it.
Mm-hmm.
We need it. He had a purpose and he like stood up straighter and was happier. He told me he was so glad that I said to just get over your ego. And even though you had like this great job, go work at Home Depot now. And he was the better for it.
Mm-hmm. And get that discount. Get that
Get
employee
that discount.
discount.
And you don't need to put it on your resume. Like,
Yeah.
that's fine. You don't
Yeah.
need to you could tell your friends about it. You don't need to tell your future employer that.
Mm-hmm.
You could just say confidently, oh, like to explain the last couple of months that you don't have a job at the top of your resume. You could just say career break, period, end of sentence. they don't,
Yeah.
they're not entitled to know about the ins and outs of your life.
Mm-hmm. And to wrap up, I want to tell a story about another client that we had. And I know she listens to the podcast, so I hope she's listening because I loved this conversation we had about her. I believe it was Starbucks job. It was a coffee shop for sure. And she was maybe a little embarrassed about it and didn't know how to talk about it to people. And I just told her, and I believe this so strongly. I said, you are the most important person in so many people's days. You're giving them their morning cup of coffee. Are you kidding me? That your interaction with them is going to impact how they interact with everybody else for the rest of the day? That's powerful. I'm so glad we have people like you in those roles. And that was such an important conversation because A, to give her some more confidence, but B, to remind her that the work that she was doing in that role is valuable. And the work that we're doing in nearly every role is valuable. It helps the world move, whether it's a barista at Starbucks or CEO of Delta Airlines, right? All of this work, so much, saying all, it feels very extreme. Hey, 97% of this work
Yeah,
is
I mean,
so
I
valuable.
don't encourage people in the wrong way on
Right.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
You're making
Right.
somebody's day better in the wrong way.
Yeah. But I hope that this was helpful. I think it really was. Going through the wisdom from 5 years ago or 6 years ago, how that holds up today, what you would add, what we would change. I hope it was helpful. Kelsey, do you have any closing words?
I hope so. I think part of me wants to say, or close with, if somebody is coming into this episode like really, really heavy and you've been wrestling with this for a long time and you're honestly like beating yourself up really hard over like, I don't know, forcing yourself to stay in a terrible job for some seemingly good reasons, but you're like honestly kind of destroying yourself in the process. I think within reason, I'd like to say it's not that deep. This is going to end up being a small season in your life. You're allowed to get a different job. In 5 years, you'll probably feel pretty neutral / positive about it. In 20 years, you'll be like, oh, yeah, my 30s, my 40s. Yeah, look at her. Like, it's just the story of your life, however that ends up being. And you're allowed to have a couple jobs in there. Nobody, like, people really care about you and want you to care for yourself in the way that they care about you. So be nice to yourself at the same time. If you're in a place of needing some tough love, girl, yeah, I was so bratty when I was like, I'm probably even still bratty. Half of my self talk, I think, justifiably is like, suck it up, honestly. And so if you're the kind of person that goes soft on yourself all the time, I would love for you to feel the addicting surge of self respect that comes from pushing through a hard thing for a good reason. That is amazing. If you haven't tried that before, today is a great day to do it. But if you're constantly hard on yourself, oh my gosh, please stop. You know who you are. And if you don't actually, and you need a conversation partner, that's one of the reasons that our sorry, hard pivot, our career coaching program exists. You can explore our range of services and more testimonials for the way that we support people and how that could fit into your career story over at thecalledcareer.com/services. Pretty cute, fun website, if you ask me. Happy place to be. And on that page, you could see if you're really resonating with this is the support that's right for me in my life right now. And I honestly need a conversation and a thought partner and a strategic partner to help me end up in a good place, then book a free consultation so we could consider working together. I think you'll be glad that you did. So that's my pitch. All right, toodaloo. See you next week. Thanks for listening to today's episode. To get an even more meaningful head start into your calling, head to thecalledcareer.com, where my fellow career coach Audrey and I have created a whole suite of free resources and tools to help you get clear and get a job today. For those who are definitely ready to land a job or start a business in the next 6 to 12 months, we're here to help you biblically and practically discern your calling through coaching, reflection, and deep market research. Identify the job that's aligned with it, even if you currently have no idea what you want. Rebrand your resume and LinkedIn to translate your background to appeal to your future boss. P.S. We take this off your plate and do this for you. Also, we'll teach you how to land referrals and get attention from leadership through networking. Again, if that makes you nervous, we have these emails and LinkedIn messages literally written for you so you don't have to sweat. We're also here to give you unlimited interview practice so you're prepared to address every elephant in the room and knock selling yourself out of the park. Then we'll round out with helping you negotiate your salary so you land thousands more. Just so you know, recent clients have gotten $8,000 to $50,000 salary increases, even though they were totally non-traditional candidates. That's because we specialize in helping non-traditional career pivoters land jobs they're ecstatic to serve in. It takes work, but we're here to see you through until the end, when we're celebrating that day that you send me an email in all caps and you say, Kelsey, I got the job. Then you could be on the podcast. But I'll be here until then, keeping you accountable and encouraged by meeting with you literally until you land the job you want, even if that's up to 6 months from now within our program. Apply to join at thecalledcareer.com, and I'll see you next week here at Answer the Call. Bye for now.